Hello good people, I'm Dmitry, and in front of me is what I would consider to be Razer's best product ever. And so this is the Razer Mamba wireless mouse with the Firefly Hyperflux combo, which means that they go together as a unit. You can buy them separately, but they don't function the same as when they are together. I feel like everyone's moving towards wireless peripherals, mice, keyboards, headsets. Now we have wired mouse pads, but to compensate for the lack of a cable for the mouse. And so we've seen that implementation from Logitech with their PowerPlay stuff and the Corsair MM1000 mouse mat with the dark core mouse. So those implementations are really good, and you can check out my comparison right over here. But I feel like Razer has really kind of closed the loop in terms of how this technology should actually be implemented for your desk. So let's check it out right after this. The new Mastercase MK750 keyboard comes with a comfortable magnetic wrist rest, beautiful RGB light bar on the perimeter, and per-key lighting control with a variety of Cherry MX switches and a bottom Type-C connection. Cooler Master doing it right. Check it out below. So first would be the price. Man, it's really punch in the gut when you hear about it. $249. I don't blame you if you're turning away from this video, but you probably shouldn't, because while it is among the most expensive combos for a wireless mouse and its charging dock, the Logitech PowerPlay with the G903 Lightspeed mouse also cost $249. So because we only have 3 players that produce this type of product, obviously there is that chunky price premium. Whereas Corsair's approach with the dark core mouse and the MM1000 mouse mat, it's really kind of like around $150 for the set. So that's awesome. But despite the price, I feel like Razer's implementation here is the best. So size-wise, it is smaller than the Corsair MM1000. It's also smaller than the Logitech PowerPlay, which is unfortunate because it's kind of like the most expensive solution, yet it doesn't really offer that size advantage. But I would say it's kind of the standard size for the desk. Obviously, I would appreciate something bigger because I'm actually used to really large mouse mats where I can maneuver my hand at really low DPI for that FPS precision. But of course, perhaps the super competitive scene is not the target audience for this product. So this would be my first RGB mouse mat. Man, what a sentence. But the ambient strips around it actually looks beautiful during the evening. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much. Obviously, at this price point, you do appreciate it. I do like their implementation of dual surfaces. So one soft cloth material, which I prefer. All my mouse mats have soft cloth. And then we have the hard one if you like more speed, and just kind of sits in this cavity and it's flush against the frame, so you don't really necessarily feel the edges, and that's appreciated. So what makes this product so special is the Razer Mamba mouse. It has no battery inside, unlike all other competing solutions that can hold a charge for a while. You have to recharge it, whereas this can hold a charge for 10 seconds off the mouse mat, which means that when it's on the mouse mat, it's constantly getting charged, constantly getting power, so you don't have to worry about the RGB illumination, whereas that's been a compromise for really draining the battery on all other solutions. Whereas here, I mean, that's obviously not necessarily a huge benefit, but for like a really fancy, glaring product like that, that's appreciated. But the fact that you never have to charge it, so just constantly getting charged on the mouse mat is awesome, and you can actually hear the little capacitor winding down as soon as you take it off the mouse mat. Like, it's no longer holding charge, but when I place it down, it winds back the capacitor, and that's what's powering the mouse. And that is why the Hyperflux is my favorite wireless mouse, because it gets rid of that inconvenience of needing to charge it, and so it's constantly just getting power when it's on the mouse mat, where you'll constantly use the mouse. Of course, the lack of any power when it's away from the mouse mat could be a compromise to you if you want to just take it off and use it somewhere else. But you can use it in wired mode by plugging in the cable from the mouse mat into the mouse. One more thing to keep in mind in terms of the actual area of the charging. So about 1 inch inwards of the mouse mat, that is where we lose the capacity to charge. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're like really on the edges, you'll have a little bit of power until the capacitor dies down, but then you'll have to bring the mouse back in. And there's about a 2 to 3 second delay when the mouse comes back down to when you can actually start using it. when the capacitor starts to wind up. And the one thing that Razer makes abundantly clear with this power mat is its proximity to a Wi-Fi router has to be at least 1 meter away, because otherwise it would introduce some interference with the magnetic field that the power mat creates. But also you have to be careful with not placing smartphone on top of this thing. I'm not sure if it's because it might damage the smartphone or the power mat, but yeah, just keep that in mind. Keep your smartphone electronics away from the Razer Hyperflux. Now, as for the actual mouse itself, 96 grams, fantastic body for the right-hand users, really nice rubberized grips. Browser buttons are here. The primary left and right clicks are a little bit on the heavier side, but exhibit really good travel distance. The scroll wheel, man, it's like a mechanical scroll wheel. It feels amazing. Like, listen to this. The middle click is light enough to press. I always program something to that. We also have side steps for the scroll wheel, which are nicely controlled, so you're not necessarily going to activate any of the scroll steps. The DPI shift is right behind there, nicely accessible, and there is a profile switch right in front of your thumb. Plus, it's using an optical sensor. Performance is just fantastic. Landing flicks, no issues with control, no spin outs. The cloth material is awesome. You can also configure the liftoff distance inside the software by choosing the different intervals or selecting the different material surfaces, either the cloth or the hard one, inside the software. And so obviously the main selling point here would be how the mouse is charged on top of the power mat versus other solutions where you need to position it in certain area of the mouse mat for the Qi charging to actually work. But of course, you know, with the dark core mouse, you can place it on any Qi charger and charge it that way. So that's awesome. But this mouse is much heavier, so I would not use this for FPS, but for, you know, if you actually prefer a heavy mouse, this would be a good choice for you. So this is more targeted for people who really prefer light mice, and it's also available, I think, in more regions of the world versus things from PowerPlay, where Logitech PowerPlay is not even available in Canada right now, whereas, you know, only Europe and the US because of the charging technology has not been approved, whereas this stuff available in Canada, no problem. And obviously this is a closed product circle, so even Razer does not have any other mice that support the Firefly Hyperflux charging method as of yet, but I'm assuming that we'll see that in the future. But I really want to see like the expansion of it in terms of charging a keyboard as well, by having a bigger mat and having the similar technology for your, let's say, wireless keyboard. And so that's going to be the next step of expansion of these wireless charging docks. And potentially maybe more wireless peripherals. But I think we've already exhausted that. Headsets, mice, keyboards, wireless charging mouse mats, I don't know. And so what's next? Wireless monitors? That actually would be pretty sweet. And so the price point for this combo would be a huge deterrent for many gamers who just see that as like just a cash grab and like ridiculous pricing at $249 for this stuff. But obviously Razer is trying to target those exact people who want the best wireless mouse mat RGB combo that is available right now. And yeah, they're winning the game. And I know I said this is Razer's best product, and I truly believe that because I was not expecting to have such a complete and a perfect experience with something like this, something that's still growing in terms of charging your wireless mouse. And so I just like their implementation the most. So guys, let me know what you think of the Hyperflux Mamba and Firefly combo in the comments below. Do you agree, or do you think this is ridiculous and just completely pointless? And how would you suggest the wireless peripherals, mice, keyboards, headsets to move forward within the industry so that they become a bit more convenient for users who enjoy them on a daily basis, so they don't have to constantly recharge them and think about battery life, because we already have so many devices that we constantly have to recharge, and so having one less to worry about is of course appreciated. So make sure to subscribe, check out this other relevant content here, and we'll see you in the next video.